Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to We Are Tottenham TV for another good morning Tottenham. Southampton won, Tottenham won last night, well, yesterday at St Mary's, in a very extremely frustrating game yesterday.
Very extremely.
Yeah, even more. I can put an even more if you want, but it was so frustrating, especially being there yesterday. I thought, let's take it from the beginning and in terms of Conte's lineup and stuff like that. Do you think that Conte got it right with the lineup? I felt maybe we should have stuck with maybe a 3-4-3.
Yeah, you could probably argue that. I think that in the first half, obviously we started slow. To be honest, I anticipated that. I said before the game, we know Southampton like to start quickly, and we know they put you under a lot of pressure early doors, and you have to ride the storm. We didn't. We conceded, and that's always going to make brilliant goal, and that's always going to make the game a lot tougher when they've got they're in the ascendancy. They've got something to cling on to, especially later in the game. In terms of formation. Yeah, I would have started Lucas just because he's in such good form, and then even if he gets tired, at least maybe in the first half he can get you a goal or an assist, and maybe you can look to take him off after once you're in the lead. But maybe the fact that Bergwijn was injured, he thought, look, if I start Lucas, I don't really have anyone on the bench if things aren't going right to change the game, and maybe that's part of the reason he stuck with it. And to be honest, as much as we didn't play well in the first half, that it wasn't a surprise to me when we did equalise in terms of how it happened, because there was about 4 or 5 opportunities. I remember specifically when Kane was picking up the ball near the halfway line, where if we got the pass right, we were in on goal. It happened about 3 or 4 times. We just kept getting it wrong, and then literally right at the end of the first half, we got one right, and we were through. That
was so frustrating in that first half. Is like our passing ability in the first half, our passing quality was so bad at times. And look, Southampton went into lead, deservedly so. And I think when we scored, it was a bit against the run of play, wasn't it?
It was, but it wasn't, as I said, it was against the run of play, but it wasn't a surprise because it was exactly how I envisaged us scoring, paying that through ball straight through the centre. They were constantly open there, and it was only our bad passing that prevented us actually getting in on goal. So I just knew, I said on stream when I was with Brains, I said, we just need it to go right one time and we'll be in. And that's exactly what happened at the end of the first half. So I really thought once that happened, and then it went down to 10 men, all the momentum would be with us and we're going to win. But unfortunately it didn't pan out like that. And in a weird way, I actually think we would have been better off if he didn't get sent off, in a weird way. Because Southampton are a team, we'll go into second half performance in a second, but Southampton are a team who like to play very open and they like to attack. And they play with a lot of risk. And they played with a lot of risk in that first half. And it was paying off for them a lot. But, we definitely had opportunities to open them up going the other way. But I feel like because they went down to 10 men and they were drawing 1-1, it kind of felt like there's something switched in their mentality. They're like, okay, we're just going to, because we're down 10 men, we have to just drop back and defend the whole second half. We're just going to have to be very, very resolute. And that's exactly what they did. And I feel like if it was 1-1, 11-on-11.
Or 1-0, because, if the sending off doesn't happen, the penalty probably doesn't happen.
Whatever. Even if we got the penalty without the sending off, I'm just saying, like, even if it's 1-1 going second half and it's 11-on-11, they're still going to commit players forward and be very open because that's how they play and they're going to try and win the game. But because they were down to 10 men, that gave them no option but to sit back and be resolute and put all men behind the ball and make it very difficult for us.
Yeah.
And so in that instance, actually, the red card might have hurt us in a weird way.
Yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from for sure, but that's exactly what happened. That's exactly how it panned out in the second half. They sat there, all 10 men behind the ball for pretty much the majority of the second half. It was basically attack against defence, wasn't it, for that whole second half? And we were tippy-tapping around their box pretty much the whole time. No one was gambling and taking that shot. We were getting crosses in the box, no real quality in our shots either. I mean, it was just so frustrating, and especially how much we were attacking that second half. And we actually got the 2 goals. We got 2 goals with Harry Kane.
One of them were real quality, the Kane goal.
Harry Kane and Matt Doherty, obviously, with the keeper spilling it. And they chalk them off. I don't understand how those goals get chalked off. especially the Doherty one.
Yeah, the Kane one, we've been so used to millimetre offsides now for so long.
Change the rule, man.
I know, I don't understand why. They said thicker lines and advantage to the attacker, but it didn't happen in this case for some reason. They went to his shoulder, but they didn't go to the Southampton player's shoulder, so I don't understand why it was ruled out. It was, I think, onside. I think when you look at that, the lines are touching, so I think you've got to give advantage to the attacker in that instance, and they didn't. They examined it for ages and then decided no goal, and yet with the other one, with the Doherty, with the forced own goal, they didn't even check it. It was really strange because the cross comes in. Yeah, Doherty's challenging him, but he doesn't foul him in any way, shape or form.
He drops the ball before Doherty he challenges him.
He doesn't have control of the ball at any moment. He doesn't get hands on the ball. He completely lets it through his hands and it goes in off the back of his back leg. It wasn't as if he had the ball and then got barged over. That's not what happened whatsoever. So it was not a foul. And VAR doesn't even, how many times have you seen VAR for like 3 minutes? Rewind, go forward, check it.
Every game.
Right, and yet for this one, they don't even look at it. I didn't understand. I didn't know. It was very clearly not a foul. It was clear and obvious that it wasn't a foul.
I was wondering that actually in the stands. I was like, how?
The play carried on immediately.
I know, and I was wondering that. I was like, how? I was like, is VAR really not looking at this? Is it really not looking at this? I just don't understand what's going on right now. And the game just carried on.
And the referee on the Mark Clattenburg was on the comms for BT, and he said, it's not a foul, but VAR can't get involved in this because the referee's made the decision. I was like, but why? Why can't VAR get involved?
Did he not give a reason?
No, he was just like, go because it wasn't clear and obvious or something. I'm just like, it's not a it's very clearly not a foul. Doherty barely touches him. So the fact that the referee's blown up for a foul when the ball's gone in the back of the net, when there's a goal happening, a game-changing event, you have to look at that. You have to look at that and make sure you got the decision right, because there's been a massive error here by the referee. He's seen a foul that hasn't existed. The foul doesn't exist. So why the VAR can't say, look, you should probably take a look at this because there was no foul here. I don't understand why VAR can't look at it. They didn't even it was like play just carried on immediately. They didn't even think about VAR looking at it. It was very strange.
Were the Spurs players going crazy at it?
They weren't. It was only for about a few seconds when it happened. Doherty and Kane were like, what are you chatting about? There's no foul. And then play carried on. So they just got to carry on. They can't be complaining for too long. Yeah. So they were complaining, but it wasn't incessant. But I guess, to be honest, from a top, maybe obviously Doherty was involved, so he was the one who really knew there wasn't a foul. But for everyone else, it did kind of look like, from the naked eye, because when they challenge the keeper,
I was there, right there.
9 times out of 10, it's a foul.
My first reaction was like, how the hell is that disallowed? I literally saw him in front of my eyes just drop the ball. That's what I saw in front of me, and I was like, wait a second, what's going on here? I couldn't believe it in front of my eyes. I couldn't believe it.
I'm saying 9 times out of 10, when you see those incidences, it looks like a foul because you can't touch the keeper, you can't challenge the keeper, and usually when the keeper gets touched, in other incidences, it's a foul. So when you look at that, a lot of people automatically assume it's a foul, and I think that's what the referee did.
Yeah, I get that.
That's what the referee did. That's probably why a lot of the Tottenham.
The referee. How can the referee assume?
Because he probably didn't get a good view of it. He probably didn't get a good view of it.
So go back to VAR then.
Agreed. But
what is he doing?
I agree.
So stupid.
And I'm saying that's why all the Spurs players probably didn't complain.
That's why VAR has been brought in, and you know what I mean? If the referee's unsure, the referee doesn't know what's going on, if you can't just assume decisions. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I didn't understand it. But
anyway.
That was frustrating. But I did think throughout the game, we probably created enough to win. I think Doherty had a really good chance. I think he had a few good chances actually on the left-hand side. I think Winks was actually playing some really good crosses and really good passes in behind.
Winks was the best player on the park yesterday.
Yeah, he was fantastic. And he was the only one playing some really accurate, crisp passes, actually threatening the Southampton back line. If it wasn't for him, there was no one else playing a good quality pass over the top. And his pass as well, right on a plate for Kane, who scored the goal, but unfortunately was ruled out through offside. That was a peach of a ball, absolute peach. And he set up the penalty as well. So he was actually fantastic, I thought, Harry Winks. Best player on the park for us.
Yeah, with those 2 balls you're talking about, the one for the penalty and the one for Kane's offside goal.
Brilliant.
2 brilliant balls.
No, not only that, he played a brilliant over-the-top ball for Doherty, who volleyed it right into the rose head as well. But that was a really good cross. Played another one for Son, who looped a header. Unfortunately, couldn't get the header on target.
I mean, there were that worrying moment when he lost the ball. He was dilly-dallying on the edge of our penalty area. Another day that could have cost us massively.
Yeah, but I think the quality he was bringing us, you take that. I think, unfortunately, I think that's what it is. No one else was providing on the pitch what he was. So
yeah, 100%. But the game was crying out for a Tanguy Ndombele yesterday. It really was. I thought he was the one that could have come on with Southampton sitting deep, frustrating, compact. He was the one that could have come on and really kind of picked that lock yesterday.
Yeah, you would have thought so. The only thing is, who you're going to take off? You're going to take off one of Kane or Son. I guess Højbjerg maybe should have been the one because he had a poor game, I thought, yesterday. Højbjerg
centre-back
could have taken one of the centre-backs to go forward at the back, but he decided not to. He decided to keep it as it was.
I would have taken off a centre-back. Southampton weren't doing nothing in that second half.
The only thing I'd say is I think Doherty comes on at half-time. I think that change was probably enforced. I'm guessing.
100%. Reguilon was going to get sent off, in my opinion.
So that sub happens, and then Lucas comes on for I can't remember who he came on for, but Lucas came on in the second for Dele, because Dele was poor.
Dele was shocking, wasn't he?
But Lucas was always going to come on at some point, wasn't he? Especially when we were chasing the game. Imagine we didn't bring on Lucas, how mad people would have gone, right? So Lucas has to be one of the subs. And then Emerson played 90 minutes 2 days ago, and he was I thought he was getting really tired, so he had to come off. Then who do you bring on? Who do you bring on for Emerson? Do you bring on Ndombele and try and put someone else at right wing back? He decided to bring on Hill, but so that's probably the reason Ndombele didn't get any time on the pitch. But I didn't understand.
Not on the bench yesterday.
No, he was injured.
Yeah, I heard he was injured in the press conference, but was he not named on the bench yesterday?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, shame. And he's out for the weekend.
Is he a bad injury?
10 days. They're saying him, Sessegnon, Romero, Lo Celso out for the weekend. That's what Conte said.
Oh, so at least they're putting Romero in the conversations for the weekends. He's saying he's out for the weekend.
I don't think that's the case of him nearly being back just yet, but that's bad news on that front. But I didn't. The only thing I think Conte got seriously wrong, because I actually think structurally how the team played. Yes, we should be testing Forster more, but that's more of a quality of the players. I actually think structurally how the team was actually creating chances and building up pressure, I think they did fairly well in that sense. Because I think we were putting Southampton I think they defended really well, first of all, and I think we actually were putting them under constant pressure, and they were forced to defend very well to keep us out, and we should be doing more for sure. But I think they did defend well. But the big thing I think he got wrong was those two wing backs. I did not understand that. I think it cost us in many situations.
You could see it on the
many
pitch
situations.
In front of your very eyes. I mean, how many times did Doherty get that? How many times did Doherty get that ball on such good positions on that left wing?
Yeah.
How many times? And what did he do every single time? Cut in and do something awful.
And the chance was gone every time he cut in, because all of a sudden, as soon as you cut in, you allow the defence to get back in position and everything. So, also Hill. I mean, there was one chance near the end where he forced to save out Forster, but he had to cut back in, and once he cuts in, there's a lot of defenders in front of him. Well, whereas if he was right-footed, he could have gone on the outside, and all of a sudden he gets a free shot. I didn't understand it. Not only that as well, but from a point of view of having to put crosses in the box. Every time both wing backs had to cut inside on their stronger foot to get the cross in the box, and I didn't understand because all of a sudden, once you're on a run like that, if you can cross it in first time, it's so much more dangerous to get the defence unsettled, rather than if you're cutting it back in and all of a sudden you're allowing the defence to get back in position, and then they're then in a better position to get the cross away. So I thought that was a really bad decision from Conte to not put Gil on the left. And also Gil, we've seen him play. He came to Spurs as a left winger, like as a player who likes to go on the outside and get a cross in and stuff like that. That's how he came. So he didn't come to Spurs as a player who usually cuts inside. So I don't understand why he would want him there. Yeah. Why he wouldn't want Doherty on the right and Gil on the left. It made no sense. And I
mean, that was, I don't know. As soon as Gil was coming on, I was like, all right, this is what we're going to do now. We're going to put Doherty on the right, Gil back on the left.
I actually thought he was going to move to a back four. I thought he was going to go Doherty, Sanchez, Dyer, and Davis as a back four, and then play the rest wherever. But he kept the back five, and he put Gil and Doherty wing backs. I mean, he'll probably look back and I don't know what his thinking was. I wish I could tell you. Obviously, I'm not one to say I know better than Conte, but I can't see logic in that. right now.
Me as well. But at the end of the day, right, as much as we weren't good enough yesterday, we did more than enough to win that game yesterday.
Should have won it.
We should have won it. We deserved to win it. And we just didn't get the points on the board. I mean, these games are going to happen, aren't they? But does this leave question marks for you for our away form still? Like 2 games under Conte now, 2 draws.
Yeah, and 2 performances which weren't the best, were they? But
I mean, you can excuse the Everton one because it's his first game, right?
Yeah.
This one, on the back of a few good displays, I expected more from yesterday. But again, it's hard to play 2 games in 48 hours.
Yeah, and I think not only
I know
that...
Southampton did as well, but...
Yeah, but I think they...
made a lot more changes.
Yeah, they did. We didn't make that many changes. But I actually think we couldn't make too many changes, unfortunately, for the players we needed to change, like Reguilon and Emerson. I think in a perfect world... You know, we probably have 2 fullbacks who come in and we can rotate. But and also, not only that, Bergwijn was injured, so all of a sudden he's not an option, which he probably would have played if he was fit. So then it's thinking like, you know, we have Kane and Son, and Kane, Son and Lucas, but no one else. So they have to put a lot of pressure on them. And the wing backs is such a demanding position. If we're not on much rotation, the longer the game goes on, the less effective they're going to be, and that's pretty much what bore out. So I think all those issues definitely led to a bit of a lackluster performance on the wide areas. But I think in terms of performance, like we should have won the game. Definitely, we should have won the game. Like we had more than enough chances, even half chances, and the goals ruled out as well. I think we should have made things tougher for Southampton, but the situations we created were more than enough to get a victory in this game, and we'll be definitely looking back at this as a massive missed opportunity that we didn't take all 3 points for sure. But you got to give credit to Southampton actually, because I thought they actually defended very, very well throughout the game.
They did. You do have to give credit to Southampton, but look, that game was there for the taking for us. Obviously down to 10 men for the whole second half. It's highly disappointing we didn't. But a player I want to talk about in Dele Alli. You got 2 players, right, in Dele Alli and Harry Winks. Harry Winks backed up that performance against Liverpool with another great display yesterday. Dele Alli, same old Dele Alli, I'm afraid.
Yeah, he was poor, really poor. I wasn't quite sure if they were playing 3-4-3 and he was in a 3, and 3-5-2 and he was in a 3 in the middle. Like I wasn't sure. Like I don't know if he was sure because he kind of got caught in between. He wasn't either. And he wasn't really being combative in the centre like he was against Liverpool. And he wasn't really getting on the ball and making a difference going the other way. He was very much anonymous. And again, when he fell into that same old Dele, when he got the ball, he was being very pushed off the ball so easily. It's all I've always said that about Dele Alli. He's very, very easy to get the ball off. He's not very good at shielding the ball, and that was exactly the case yesterday. It was as if whenever they got the ball, it was like it was a trigger for them. Whenever Dele gets the ball, okay, now you go because Dele's got the ball, you can get him. And that was the case yesterday, and it makes me very frustrated a lot when I see Dele and he has options to quickly get a pass off and maybe start a move, and then he hangs onto it and then tries a trick and it doesn't come off, and sometimes he even tries a trick and he still retains the ball, and then he still doesn't release it quickly and he still hangs on. And there are so many opportunities where he can release it and he just ends up losing it. And it's so frustrating to watch. It's like, just get the ball off, and then, sometimes it's not the right time to do a trick. Sometimes you just got to lay the ball off and then carry on and run. How many times did we see Dele running in behind, doing those late runs? We hardly ever saw it. And Winks was more than looking for it. We saw it yesterday, He was more than willing to play a ball in behind, but Dele just wasn't an option. So... it was a massive step backwards for him after a promising display. And, now you think of that Liverpool display and you think, how many times he's actually had good positions and he wasted them. Then it recontextualize it, because he had a good game, but that 2-on-1 with Alisson, and he makes a lazy pass to Kane and the chance is gone. It makes you think, was that performance even that good? You know what I mean? And that was, he had another opportunity yesterday to prove that he wants to keep up his form, and he really couldn't do it.
Yeah, he blew it yesterday. Dele. Eric Dyer yesterday, another good game from him, but that mistake creeping him at the end with that slip.
God.
I mean, heart in mouth moment. Had to have Davinson Sanchez to really bail him out yesterday. But
not the first time, because he did that at the end of the Liverpool game, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a few mistakes now since all this praise from Dyer creeping into his games. that one that you just spoke about, the one at the West Ham game when he gave away that goal with that pass into no man's land, then gets completely sold down the river by Bowen. And obviously that one in the last minute against Southampton. I mean, if that goes in, he is getting pelters today. He is getting absolute pelters.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it was funny because in the stream we're watching it, and like as the game was going on, I was like, this is all set up for like a one mistake from Spurs and Southampton just punishing us. And that literally 93rd minute, and very nearly happened. But thankfully Sanchez was a great tackle because that's going in, 100% goal. So we got away with that. But yeah, Dyer, I think, yeah, by and large he had a good game, but you've got to cut those things out of his game.
That's that standard Dyer thing.
I've said it so many times. He has a great game, and then he makes one costly mistake, and it ends up costing us points. Luckily, it didn't yesterday, but very easily could have. And I don't know, is he ever going to cut it out of his game? Who knows? It's just something you got to accept.
It's a shame because he's had such a good game yesterday. I mean, he was so commanding for 99% of that game, wasn't he? And it's just Eric Dyer. It's just standard Eric Dyer. But look, anything else from you for the match?
In terms of the front two, Kane and Son, I think Kane. I think they both actually were trying really hard, and it was very difficult for them when Southampton.
I'm seeing a lot of polarizing views on Human Son today.
I don't think it was that bad. I mean, there are a couple of times again his touch was getting away from him a couple of times. But I actually think in the second half especially, he was getting behind the Southampton defence and getting crosses in and trying really hard. He obviously won the penalty as well. Could have done better with a couple of shots he had. Didn't really test Forster too much. Wasn't able to get some shots off. But I don't think he was particularly poor. I wouldn't say he was any worse than anyone else.
It is with
could have been better.
Son. It's because of how good he is and the quality he brings. If he doesn't have those performances where we know he can bring people about, Son wasn't good today, because that's to his standards, right? Yesterday, Son was good in terms of he was one of our best players on the pitch yesterday for us. But in terms of his high standards, it wasn't as good as we know he can be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
I think that's why people are really kind of saying, "Oh, yeah, didn't have a good performance," just because of we know what kind of high standards he can bring.
Yeah, it was a difficult game for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, of course it was.
A difficult game when he's a player who. In the first half, it definitely was more suited to him, and then you could see that with because he got the penalty, didn't he? And there was a few opportunities where Kane was playing him in behind, and we didn't make the most of it. So that was really his game, and I think we definitely learned from how we destroyed Southampton last year when we were playing it in behind so many times, because we tried to do the same thing, get it into Kane, he holds off Bednarek and the other centre back, and then we open up the space, and it nearly worked a few times. We just couldn't take full advantage like we did last year. But then once the red card comes, they put everyone behind the ball and clog it up, and then all of a sudden it's a lot harder for people like Son to get space and get shots off and get a run on anyone. And then we continually saw that in that second half. So it was probably more tailor-made for someone like a Kane yesterday as opposed to Son. But he did play really well, Kane, I thought, especially in the first half. I thought he was probably one of our best players. We were firing it into him, and he was holding it up and turning and getting those passes in, and he was just getting it slightly wrong.
His confidence is growing, Kane, can't you?
Yeah, and it was a great penalty as well he scored.
Yeah,
and I thought he played a really good game. So that was decent. But yeah, other than that, it was not too much to say. It was just in the second half, it was attack versus defence. They kind of gave us, look, we're going to have 10 men behind the ball, you break us down, and unfortunately we just couldn't do it. And it's just, I don't know whether to put it down to one of those days or put it down to, it was a serious lack of quality and it was the same players letting us down again. It's hard to say.
I think it was just one of those days, in my opinion, because we did more than enough to win the game. We had 2 good goals chalked off. Yes, we weren't at our best. Yes, we didn't play that well yesterday, but we still did enough to win that game.
Yeah,
yesterday.
And it was like I'm watching the Liverpool-Leicester game yesterday, and Liverpool lost 1-0. And you look at it, you're like, oh, Liverpool, how they lose this game? Were they lackluster or this? And then you look at the chance they had. Salah missed a penalty, Mane misses like 2 one-on-ones, like they have, and before at 0-0. And like if those go in, Liverpool go on to win. But unfortunately, on 9 times out of 10 they score them. On this game they missed, and that's what, and they end up losing the game. And I think it's very similar to Spurs. Like a lot of these chances, a lot of the times we score, but today we just kept missing them and ended up costing us. And look, hopefully it won't cost us over the season. We are still unbeaten. Hopefully that unbeaten feeling is still good, but it is just very frustrating. We couldn't keep up that winning run and get all the 3 points, which against 10 men we should have been getting.
Yeah, look, there's a frustrating narrative at the moment that, Spurs weren't good enough yesterday. Some players letting us down once again, blah, blah, blah. We didn't get the win.
It was always going to happen once we didn't win.
Yeah,
People are always going to say that.
But, if we go out there now and beat Watford and beat Arsenal, the narrative changed to, 7, 8, 9 unbeaten games, Spurs on a massive roll again.
We've got to win those. Yeah, we've just got to make sure we win.
We have to back these up with next 2 wins now.
Got to make sure we win.
So important.
Just got to make sure we win.
So
100%.
important. That Arsenal game is massive.
Yeah, because if we win, we can go. Assuming we beat Watford and they lose City, we can go above them, and that'll be massive. We can do that
with a couple games in hand.
Yeah,
as well.
so we just got to make sure we do the job on New Year's, and then go into the Arsenal game. Be off the back of the double header against Chelsea as well. So we've got some big games coming up.
Yeah, 100%. January is a massive, massive month, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. Because I do think yesterday did show a lack of strength and depth as well for us.
Yeah, it's 100%, because Bergwijn was injured, and all of a sudden there's no options in the forward line, really, to come on. And that's what, we got Son, Lucas and Kane, and that's it. And then Bergwijn and Hill backing up, and if one of them's injured, it's like we really need another forward, desperately. With another winger, at least a wing forward, someone like that, to really compete with those positions, or a central striker, because at the moment, one injury and we're so short. And then as well, right wing back, or the full-backs as well, sorry. We definitely need another one, because you saw yesterday, only Session was injured, and then all of a sudden we're looking really short in the wing back position. Just one injury and we're so short. It's like we're struggling. We're putting Doherty at left wing back and we're struggling to find anyone, because he clearly doesn't fully trust Doherty, it seems. Otherwise he would have started yesterday.
Yeah, and when we had Poch and we were had the fullbacks, the flying fullbacks under him, we had fullbacks that he was replacing, rotating every single game pretty much.
Yeah, he had no problem putting in Trippier or Davis in any game. He wouldn't care if it was United at home. If he needed rotating, he'd put them in. He wouldn't care.
And that's exactly what we need right now.
Yeah,
we need with the system that we're playing, with the amount of energy these fullbacks kind of expend during a game. It's nigh on impossible to play them both 2 games in a row, 48 hours in between.
No, you can't. Especially with the opposition making all these changes and having more energy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we saw. So, it was ultimately frustrating, but it wasn't one of those games to make me lose hope just yet.
No, not at all. I think, look, 7 games unbeaten now under Conte in the league. The first ever Tottenham manager to do that. Ever.
Yeah, just got to get that win away from home. He hasn't won yet. 2 goals.
I think
only played 2 games.
Our away form is...
it's what's letting us down, because we're third away, we're third at home, and we're 13th away from home in form. So
we need to step up our away form massively, and we need to start off at Vicarage Road on New Year's Day. But look, that is our match review. Spurs have drawn 1-1 at Southampton yesterday in a very frustrating performance.
Some super chats here.
Yeah, go on. Do you want to get through them?
And Dark Sun G21 says that Doherty challenge wasn't checked because the foul was given before the ball hit the net, in my opinion. Also, I wish there was consistency, similar to a situation Brighton versus City. However, the foul wasn't given. That's right. I remember I can't remember. I think in that game, Sanchez was challenged by one of the City players. I can't remember if the goal was given. And then VAR checked it and just gave it anyway, or if the goal was ruled out and then VAR checked it and there was no foul.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, there was a goal very recently.
Brighton City.
Yeah, there was. I can't remember what exactly happened, but I remember very clearly the keeper was challenged. I think the goal was ruled out and then they checked it. I'm trying to look back at it. What happened? It was the first goal. I remember very clearly. Where was it? See if I can see it here. This one. That one. Was the goal ruled out? No, the goal was given. So the goal was given initially. That was the difference, I guess. Because I think if the goal was given initially yesterday, then they can't rule it out, can they? But it was a very similar situation. The keeper was challenged. He just dropped it, and City
in
scored.
Those situations, I guess they should always just let the play run and then go back to VAR if you're unsure.
Yeah, that would be the perfect scenario, because then you end up with situations like this where is like the VAR's not sure if there's enough to overturn it, and then they don't make the referee look at it, whereas the referee definitely got it wrong. So it was so stupid. And in terms of the foul was given, I don't know. I haven't watched it back, but some people say the whistle blew after the ball hit the back of the net, and some people say the whistle blew before.
I saw a tweet. Someone was saying, "Oh, the whistle was blown after," but it's impossible to tell. Really, it's impossible.
Have you watched it back? Have you?
Yeah, it's really hard to tell.
So I'm not really sure. And then Dan Fry says, I would have brought on Tanguy for Emerson, put Doherty right back, left Davis left back in the back four, as we were camped in their half, so he didn't need 3 centre backs. And I
agree with that.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I probably would have gone to a back four. That's what I thought he was going to do when bringing on Hill, to be honest. But I don't know. I wish I could get an explanation out of Conte as to what he was thinking with those fullbacks, but we'll never know.
Probably. At the end of the day, right, since Conte has come here, these are the first decisions we're ever questioning after 7, 8 games, 9 games. So.
And even with the fullbacks, it's not like they didn't create chances. Like Hill could have scored and Doherty both could have scored, and if he does that, we were saying he's a genius. But in those moments it worked. But in general, there were too many times where if the right player was on his right foot on the wing, they just could have got a ball in first time, and it would have been a lot more dangerous. But look, we're questioning him, but we could have actually scored even with the inverted fullbacks.
DDMK 1985 says Kyle Walker-Peters was last defender, should have also seen a red. I mean, I thought he was brilliant yesterday. Not too sure what he's talking about.
He's talking about when he fouled Reguilon early in the game. Reguilon was through, and he kind of brought him. He kind of pulled his shirt. I think it would have been very harsh because I think he was kind of going for the ball. It would have been harsh to send him off. But, I've seen people sent off for less, to be honest, previously, and it probably wouldn't have been overturned. But he wasn't quite central enough to have a proper goal-scoring opportunity. He probably could have got a shot off if he doesn't. But also you had, I think it was Fraser Forster as well, was coming out, and he might have got the ball before Reguilon, so I don't think you can send him off.
In terms of Kyle Walker-Peters, I've seen a lot of Spurs fans saying yesterday they'll take him back.
He played at right centre-back yesterday, and he was brilliant. Yeah. He was brilliant. There was that period where...
He had a point to prove yesterday. Yeah.
There was that period where Lucas got a cross in and looked up for all the world to see Kane was about to head it home, and then Kyle Walker-Peters is there heading it away, and then it falls to Davis on the edge of the box, and he volleys it, and then Walker-Peters again is there heading it away. And he was probably Southampton's best player in the defence. I thought he was absolutely sensational, and in a new role for him as well, which I thought he showed me he was capable of a defensive performance I didn't think he was capable of yesterday, and I was really, really impressed. And look, he's one of them where if he was in the Tottenham squad right now, he would definitely be getting game time with him and Emerson rotating for sure. He would be ahead of Doherty. So, I mean, would I take him back? If it's an option between not signing anyone or signing Kyle Walker-Peters, I'd sign him.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.